One beer to go.
Nope, more than that.
Oh, 3.
Whoa. maybe not that many. I don't think it's going to be that long.
The in-between.
You're ruining the intro.
All right, let's do this.
And then your phone goes off?
Oh, yeah, let me silence.
I feel prepared.
It goes off like every episode. It's a theme now.
It shouldn't
We
be.
can't not have it go off now.
We're not getting into that. Welcome back to another episode of the NC Squared Conspiracy Podcast. My name is Simon.
I'm Chance.
This is episode 20.
Yeah, we had an
Applause.
argument about it, but it was 20.
It turns out it is, and I was right, so that makes sense. And I do keep track of that. That's one of the one things I do.
I don't know why I questioned it.
I remember the numbers. Episode 20.
20.
Last episode was Dyatlov Pass, so if that interests you, go listen to that. This episode, since it's October and we want to cash in on all of those spooky hashtags, is on China harvesting organs.
Spooky.
That is spooky. It's sad.
It is.
But it's less of a conspiracy. I've learned a lot of, when you look it up, it is portrayed as a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Right. But then as you start doing research on it, you learn that it's actually just a matter of informing everybody about what is going on.
Well, it's just like China to do something and then doesn't care about anyone's opinion on it, just like weather control.
Truth. Truth. Before we get into that, though, I want to thank our patrons. They support us financially and emotionally. Mainly financially. They pay for our beer, of which we have already downed one of, and many more to come. And they pay for our pizza, which I didn't even think about until right now. So we don't have any pizza.
I think that's like 80% of our episodes.
I'm sure
no
it's
pizza.
expected by now. And like, I want it every time.
Yeah.
And never have it.
Yeah.
But maybe next time. Anyhow, yeah, today we're going to talk about China harvesting organs from specific groups of people. Because it is Halloween, and that is spooky. And it's also present in the media right now. I've seen a lot of news articles about it recently.
Yep.
Have you any takes on this?
Takes?
Takes?
As in like...
I'm sure you've seen the news articles.
Yes.
Yes.
But China's harvesting organs from people in prison.
Yes, exactly.
That's my take on it.
Well, it's not just people in prison, though. These are live people in prison.
Yeah.
Not-
This isn't like death row inmates or like people who've died.
Yes, but they have stated multiple times that they do get their organs from death row inmates once they are executed. But further studies have showed that those numbers just do not quite add up, and that they provide more organs than dead death row inmates.
Maybe they're growing the organs.
Growing the organs, like Petri dish stem cell organs.
Hey, they're on the cutting edge of it right now.
That's true. A lot of the information we have on this comes from the WOIPFG, or the World Organization to Investigate the Persecution of Falun Gong, which is a religion. These Falun Gong practitioners, they call them often, are the people that they are harvesting organs from forcefully. This is the story. These are people that practice a religion that, from what I understand, is based on bettering yourself through spirituality. And their numbers have grown to outnumber communists in China. And so when you're asking for a motivation as to why they would treat these people this way, they outnumber the communists, and the communists are the ones doing this to them.
And just like any religion that outnumbers your actual belief system for the government, you get scared of that.
They do get scared. The Falun Gong are very organized people. They've organized protests over the last few decades, maybe more. I don't know.
Okay.
So another reason to fear them. They're organized people. They are in large numbers, and that is to be feared by some governments who try to do things without permission.
Yeah, and we know China doesn't like any kind of organized protest.
This is true. A lot of the information I got actually came from a documentary, multiple documentaries, but one that really stood out to me was called Harvested Alive. You can find it on YouTube. It's like completely free. You can watch the whole thing. It's informative, but it follows a dude and his 10 years of research into China forcefully taking organs from people for organ transplant, and their cover-ups, and what is happening now that it's more so common knowledge. Like I said, it's not so much a conspiracy as
Oh, we'll get to the
you
conspiracy
see.
part.
Yeah, I know, but like you see things in the media that are calling it a conspiracy.
Yeah.
But there's just as many reputable news sources that are just reporting it as it is, and as it is, they are taking organs from these people.
Well, they haven't been shy about like being like, yeah, that's what happened.
No, exactly. It's weird because in that documentary, it did a lot of phone interviews with various people, various heads of administrations, and they'll ask them about it, and they'll just be like, well, yeah, we do. They're fresh organs from Falun Gong.
Yeah.
There was one where they called and they were like asking about a kidney transplant and asking about getting kidneys from one of these Falun Gong inmates. And they were like, yeah, sure. No problem. And that's just really weird to me.
You got the money, we got the kidneys.
They're not super secretive about it. That's why I'm saying it's more of just a matter of getting the information out and notifying people, which is what a lot of organizations are doing now, and why it's in the news suddenly, because it's not something that happened recently. This has been going on for quite a while, and it is now coming to stronger light than it has in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it's a scary
To
thing.
give some insight as to what the actual story is for those who haven't heard, that essentially is what's going on.
It's scary. I mean, if you think about it, like, there's a lot that can go wrong there. Not just forcibly, like, harvesting organs from living people. Like, well, you're going to give us a kidney and you don't have a choice because you're a prisoner.
Right.
But not only that, but, like, health-wise, like, are they doing what they need to make sure that that's going to be compatible? And, like, on
So,
top of that,
That's where I've heard some very far to one side opinions on it, I suppose, because some people think like there's an up and a down to it. And I'm not saying it's a good thing that they're doing, because obviously it's not. They're persecuting people based on their religious beliefs.
and then harvesting
We don't
organs.
do that here in America, or we aren't supposed to.
We're not supposed to.
Exactly. But the wait time for organs in China is far less than like most places in the world, because they have such a surplus of them. And so, by that matter, not as many people die due to a lack of organs available for transplanting.
Okay.
That doesn't make it okay, but I've heard people using that as an argument for like why they might be doing this. But in the end, the people that they're taking these organs from are people that are trying to just have their own beliefs.
Yeah.
And so that's wrong.
Well, if there's anything China's good at, it's crushing your beliefs.
That's true. They love crushing your beliefs.
Oh, and harvesting organs.
And harvesting organs, apparently, because they've been doing it for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I'll keep saying it, but that's scary stuff. That's a line where you just don't want to be. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I can see why a lot of people want to leave.
Honestly. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
Well, there's also the people who what they call transplant tourists, and they go to other countries to receive transplants for organs because the wait list is significantly shorter, or like you were saying, that
Right.
they're readily acceptable. Like,
Sure.
or I guess if you apparently call an official and say, "Hey, I need a kidney, find me one," and they're like, "Oh yeah, we can do that."
Yeah. And
Like-
a lot of people, they did go to China for transplants because you could be admitted to the hospital and then a week later be ready for a transplant.
Yeah,
And that's something that just isn't available.
makes you wonder how many like rich and elite like probably use that service.
Yeah, honestly, I'm sure.
Like people who aren't like
well,
in the
because
media.
before it was more commonly known that they were taking these organs from prisoners against their will, and these prisoners were alive at the time and potentially being tortured. Prior to that, it was okay for people to go to China and get an organ transplant.
I bet you there's still ways.
Yeah, no, well, there is still ways in some countries. Like I believe South Korea, they've banned it since in the mid 2000s when they've figured out that like it is happening. They've said that people in there, they can't go get transplants there. Transplant tourism, like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's the same, like, a lot of people travel to different countries for, like, cosmetic surgeries and stuff, too, because they're significantly cheaper.
Or Mexico for meds.
Mexico for meds. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I get it, but now that it's come to light where they're getting these organs from, that's when it becomes a problem.
At least Korea stepped up to the plate and was like, nah, we're not dealing with that.
Well, a lot of people have, and now it's becoming a deal where, like, they're reaching out to other countries and asking them to do something about this.
And probably the WHO, too.
Yeah.
For you guys who don't know, that's the World Health Organization.
Yes. The World Health Organization has been reached out to, and they have not made many comments on it at this time.
Yeah.
But the United Nations has discussed it on various occasions. There's been multiple times in the Department of Defense where it has come up that in the next couple of years we could potentially have a war with China over this controversial thing that they're doing.
I think this is only one thing. Well, in my China versus U.S. thing, I've told you my opinion on that. I don't think it's going to be an all-out war kind of thing. I think it's going to be an economical collapse and strategic maneuvering of China and U.S. kind of under the guise of investment and stuff like that. So I don't think it may escalate to a full-blown out war, but I think it's better just to economically collapse a country now.
Yeah, and honestly, we have so many, like, resources we reach out to in China. A lot of trade goes on there. And also, like, China has not ever been, they've never been secretive about the fact that they're willing to defend what they believe, like, with force. You know, and like the South Sea, major trade routes going on there, and nobody technically has a claim to it.
And they're also building islands there.
Yeah, but
to
China
have air bases and
China does not
yards.
acknowledge. Everybody else who's around there acknowledges that they own the sea 200 miles out from their coastline. Is how it's determined.
Yeah,
but China does not. Nope. They've never agreed to that and never set like actual boundaries for the land that they claim. But just say that it actually belongs to them by right. And they build artificial islands with military purpose. We talked about that.
Yeah.
In one of our episodes, top 5 secret government facilities.
Yeah, well, that was one of them. And then I think we talked
It's probably
going
up a couple of times. They also, they claim to own the airspace above it as well.
Some flights
and they
going
think
missing.
that the people who fly through it should be at their, you know, they should be able to decide.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
China's a big bully.
You're a bully. We try not to get super political. And this is like borderline even because it is kind of political. And I'm not super politically educated, to be honest, or politically correct, to be honest. So
that's true.
You know
I don't think I am either. So
I don't want to get too into it. But we just wanted to talk about it because this is something that had been going on in a country for a long time, and it was not even kept a secret, really.
Now imagine
but it was just the information was kept from getting out, and when it did get out, they made excuses.
And then when people were like, those excuses don't make sense, they were like, well, all right, well, we're not going to lie about it. This is what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They were confused they at one point just said that they got it from all of their inmates, and then all of their death row inmates. And then at another point, they said that all of the organs that they got were from like willing donors. And they have like less of a established organ donor system than America does.
Yeah, I don't even think it's tracked by any other nation or anything like that. So,
but in America, you need to wait like on average 2 to 5 years for a kidney. But in China, you can get it in a week or as little as 4 hours is the record time.
Record time. 4
that
hours.
means like it had to be still.
That was for a kidney?
That was for a kidney.
Oh my God.
That was for a kidney, yeah.
They just harvested that thing.
Vice President Dick Cheney, he had to wait 2 years for his transplant heart, and he was the vice president.
He's a super well-connected dude.
He's a well-connected dude, and he was the vice president. So
I'm sure he got to the top of the list pretty quick.
Yeah. So like
record time 4
and the
hours.
fact that they're able to get you can actually go to the site. I don't remember what it is, and you would need to use a different server to get there. But if you go to the website to apply for an organ transplant in China, which you can go there, and it's literally like a 2-page form you fill out digitally. And it tells you like right on there that the average wait time for organs is a few weeks.
Jesus. Well, you know.
And they they don't care to give like a reason for how that's possible.
I bet you they're
But
just
the
like, well,
numbers
we have
don't
like
add
4
up.
billion people. Somebody's going to give one up.
Somebody.
I wonder if they entice some prisoners like, well, if you give your kidney, we'll let you out early.
Let you out early. Well, no, it's only death row people.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, that's what it is.
So do you think they're harvesting organs?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because some people don't believe it. So
My question, or not my question, my concern is that China is so open about it, and it took this long to be like really like reported on. Now imagine all the countries that don't talk about it,
sure, yeah.
who hide it, and like it's more of an elitist game kind of thing. You pay someone enough money here and there, and then you get an organ.
A lot of these recent articles that you're seeing in the news about it are stemming from people who have actually gotten out of China and are talking about it now. Mm-hmm. There's been like eyewitness accounts from people who used to live in China and either performed or witnessed these operations that are validating it.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's sad. It is spooky.
Yeah, it's real spooky.
It's really spooky when you think of the stuff we trouble ourselves with. Not that we don't have our own problems here,
Oh, I know.
but to be dealing with those kinds of problems.
I mean, yeah, like we were talking about a little bit before the episode started. If we're comparing apples and oranges here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But like, and you also have to think about the fact that people can be wrongfully incarcerated.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, based on religion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but even in that case, let's say that you do agree with that for some reason.
That'd be
You
a
could
terrible thing
still,
to agree.
somebody could be in the wrong place at the wrong time, dealing with the wrong dude, and they get incarcerated. And there are multiple accounts of that happening as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder, you said all organs, or we just talk about like kidney situation?
No, it's all organs, like
All
hearts.
organs. So like,
You can get a heart in a couple weeks.
so they're most likely just rolling up in there, like finding someone who matches DNA wise, and then basically harvesting someone's heart, like out of their chest, probably while they were put under, but still alive and healthy.
Actually,
you can't
most
put a bad
of
heart
the
in someone.
eyewitness accounts, they say that there was like no anesthetics used. It was like torture leading up to the death of the inmates before the organs were removed. Living donors, they referred to them as
Living donors.
living donors, and you can have a living donor that's like given a kidney
Yeah.
or something. That is a living donor, but they refer to all of these people that they're getting these thousands of organs from.
Like heart, lungs.
Hearts, lungs,
Colon.
things you cannot live without. Living donors.
Yeah.
So that means they were alive until they donated.
Until they donated.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Dude, that's just messed up. Like, I
It
can't
is.
even.
I know. It was like, at first I wanted to talk about it because it was such a conspiracy, and then the more I researched it, it was like, it's just really dark, and it's actually not really conspiracy theory driven at all, so much just something that is going on that people could be made aware of,
Yeah.
I suppose.
I think we should. I wish we had more numbers on other countries, like increase over the years for transplant donors. I know I have the US's, which surprised me to a certain extent, especially with this knowledge of China kind of situation. But I know there's probably nothing fishy going on with us. You can't really harvest prisoners' organs in the US and kind of get away with it.
Right, and hopefully we wouldn't have such a long waiting list if that was the case.
I know, right? But it is an interesting fact that as of 2018, there was 36,528 transplants were performed. It is a new record high that's been broken every year for the last 6 years.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that was an interesting statistic that you don't really think about. But then when something like this China thing happens, you're like, wait a minute. here.
Right. Well, you know,
6 years consecutively, every year they've broken the record for the previous year.
in a way that makes sense. Population's growing,
Yeah.
the death rate, everything considered. And like in the US, you know, you can fill out something on your ID, and then when you die, your organs can be used.
And they say in the U.S., 95% of adults support organ donation.
Right.
So, and like,
Interesting. You would think with numbers like that, the wait list wouldn't be so absurd.
this is where the other shoe drops. 95% are in support of it, but only 58% of the populace is actually registered as organ donors.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm an organ donor.
I am not.
Really?
I
That's
used
all
to
right.
be, but then like when I moved up here, they asked me. I was like, I'm good.
All right.
It's not really a personal preference. I was just like, at the time, thinking about someone taking my organs out after I died, like as soon as possible, because they'd be pressuring my family. Well, not pressuring my family if I'm a registered donor, but you know, like if I'm like in a coma and stuff, you know, that fear kind of took over, and I just said, nah, I'm good.
Sure. Like, but you said what percent of people are actually registered like organ donors?
58%. And supposedly, like every 10 minutes, another person is added to the waiting list of
Really?
organs for any kind of organ. And it says only 3 in 1,000 people die in such a way that they can use organs for transplant, which is
Really? Well, yeah, if you die due to some sort of organ failure.
yeah, it's just large discrepancy there, I guess.
Interesting.
I think it's just because we don't get found fast enough.
Yeah.
Probably, honestly. But that was just one of the statistics for the U.S. The thing that caught my attention was the increase every year to a record-breaking high.
That is interesting.
So,
But, you know, it's an industry.
yeah,
Like most things are, and most medical things are.
Ev-
It is an industry, and globally, the organ transplant industry grows 3 to 5% on average every single year.
yeah.
So it is a growing business.
What's funny is that China, like I said, the WHO, I don't think tracks China's organ donation system, and I don't even think they track it because honestly, they don't want to. They don't want to be like,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
we
yeah.
totally took it from this guy.
Exactly.
But as of like worldwide organ donations, Spain's got the lead on total per capita or whatever. I forgot exactly how they measure it out.
I just wonder why
million, that's what
why
it
is our own wait list so long?
Yeah. I
With
mean,
so many people on the list in 2017, how many?
and
like,
why is it only 3 in every 1,000 are like capable
yeah, almost
of
3
donating?
million people died in the U.S. in 2017.
Yeah. Even if you do the 58% off of 3 million people.
1.5 million.
Yeah, a little bit over, but yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, numbers always tend to show the interesting side of how things are.
20 people die every single day in the United States waiting for an organ.
See, that's crazy.
That is crazy. That's a lot of people. I'm also uneducated on most medical subjects. I will admit.
I think we've proven both of us are.
Yes.
We have our
We've
opinions.
proven. Exactly.
We have our opinions, and that's fine. I'm entitled to my opinion, and it can be ignorant as heck. But I don't go online and post my opinion all the time. I just do it on a podcast.
Right.
But yeah, that's interesting. I wish we had some numbers, but it's harder than you guys would think. To like find like a national increase, like, or not national, but a worldwide statistics over year for like how it's increased in donations.
Right. Well, the organ transplant industry grows 3 to 5% globally.
Yeah.
So that would be the
Yeah.
best indication.
And the United States is such a large company with such a large populace. Spain is at 48.3 per million for donations. Portugal is second with 33.4. And they're just edging us out a little bit by 32.8 for the US. So like that's a pretty good increase for smaller population of Spain compared to the US. I mean, at the end, percent wise, it makes a difference.
Sure.
But still interesting.
around the year 2000 is when suddenly this huge explosion of transplants started happening. In like the 5 years leading up to 1999, South Korea only had like 6 people registered that had gone to China for organ transplants, and then in 2000 moving onwards it had skyrocketed to nearly 1,000 a year. Until they eventually made people stop because they realized what was happening. And people stopped going because they realized what was happening.
Oh, okay.
I wonder how hard it would be, since this is an ongoing issue, for someone if they were like, oh, I don't care where the organ comes from, I need an organ.
Yeah, I'm gonna die in
I'm
2 to 3
gonna die,
years.
I need an organ. And like, I wonder how difficult it is for someone if they say had money
Yeah.
to go and do that.
Seems to always be people with money.
People with money get things.
Yeah.
Generally. So do you think that like people with money in the US would be taking part in that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like there's not a doubt in my mind that people have not taken an interest and done it. Like, because I think in the US it'd be significantly hard to grease some hands and get higher up on the list and stuff like that. Whereas China's medical system is on par with ours, I would say. Medically wise, they have extremely intelligent and
Right.
You know, they've been on the cutting edge of like the medical world for a while now, and honestly, I don't think someone would be concerned about going to China and getting it done in a nice clean lab rather than the U.S.
Right.
But then again, I think that'd probably be the cheaper way than trying to find someone and bring them to the U.S., pay them to donate an organ.
Well, not to mention, I believe it's cheaper in China than in a lot of countries, and probably based on the supply versus demand.
I guarantee you there are people with the money and the resources who do business in China probably a lot.
Yeah.
Who is like, hey, I need some kidneys, or hey, I need a liver because I'm an alcoholic from all the things I've done in my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably pretty easy. In China, you know, they probably don't care.
Probably less now that it's been exposed.
I
But
still don't.
I bet you it still happens.
I mean,
I guarantee you some people don't care.
yeah, that's what I'm saying is that I don't think it's exposed enough to where like someone's going to be like, the CEO of Google was like over in China for 2 weeks waiting on an organ. Like,
Right.
that stuff's kept like confidential and secret. So,
Well, yeah, actually, like, the own records of the donors that the organs came from and exactly how many organ donations were made in China is like kind of
Vague.
It's kind of vague. And you like cannot find names for these organ donors. There's also accounts saying that like they had like basically resumes for the people you could get organs from.
Oh my
and
God.
I think that is a lie, personally.
Really?
Yeah, I think that would be like, that's too upfront about it. At this point in time, they
have to have
still
like
like deny that it happened.
Well, they have to have like some type of resume kind of thing or a medical document like listing their DNA type.
Yeah, but I don't think
that.
it was like they like handed it to the person who was getting a transplant. They were like, see, this dude was a boxer. You want that dude's.
That reminds me of like an episode of some type of it was Friends when they were trying to adopt and they were handing over the documents of Monica and Chandler, and then the lady who was gonna give them her baby, like, it was the wrong document. It was some guy who was, I think, a doctor in Monica was the doctor in the file, and Chandler was someone else. Like,
Random.
It was a weird one. If you guys remember that episode, it was funny because
It's
like
been a while since I've watched
they tried to
Friends.
go with it, and then of course their conscience got the better of them, and they admitted that they weren't the people in the file. But now that you're talking about just being handed a file, like, this dude
Right.
was an all-star athlete. You know, those 2 girls that messed up the baton pass in China's Olympics, their organs are somewhere now, probably.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's bad
It's
stuff,
bad.
man.
It
Like,
is. I know. It's bad.
like, China doesn't mess around. When you like embarrass it publicly, you're gone.
Right.
Like,
That's true.
so
you want to grab another beer?
Yeah, we're going to take a small intermission.
We're going to take a 30-second intermission, and we're hoping that as we do this, you can enjoy a public service announcement brought to you by the Borgen Project.
And when we come back, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about routine removal and tacit donations.
This is Tom Skerritt for the Borgen Project. Each year, nearly 2 million children die from preventable diseases. Each day, 30,000 people die from hunger. 500 each hour are children. The Borgen Project is turning this around. We need your help. To learn more, go to borgenproject.org. That's BORGEN project.org.
And I hope you enjoyed that public service announcement from the Borgen Project.
The Borgen.
Borgen?
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 Borgen.
Borgen? I think it's Borgen Project. I think that's what I said the first time before the public service announcement. Anyway, it's the intermission, and I don't even know how long this episode's going to go, but I kept seeing articles about it, so I wanted to talk about it. And in the middle of the show, we like to kick back and open up another beer, because
Why not?
that's really the whole point, is to drink more beers. And it's supposed to be something that I enjoy doing, but it's not going to be today or
Why?
for the next couple, because we this time bought, oh god, it's so foamy. It's so foamy.
You're talking about the specific types of beer that we've purchased.
Oh, it came close. I think it's good.
You poured it wrong.
It's
is
dripping
why.
a little bit. Oh god, hang on. Anyhow, sorry for that pause. Beer got away from me a little bit, a little foamy, and I do pour correctly. I tilt the glass and I let it run down into the bottom, so you get maximum carbonation release. Or
I have a
whatever.
1/4 inch of foam. You have.
You had
6
this beer
inches.
last time. Anyhow, you know how bad this is.
Oh, did we?
Anyhow, what I'm saying, yeah, we switched this time.
Oh, okay.
Why I was saying I'm not going to like this is because I normally only drink ciders, and I think that's all that I should drink. But we bought like the darkest drinks we could find, because we thought it'd just be fun to if I just vomited my way through a beer for the last bit of the episode, I guess. Another reason why it might not go super long.
Great.
Oh my
great
God.
imagery.
What did
I had that one last time, didn't I?
Yes, last time you had this. Today I have the Imperial Stout by Yeti.
And I have the Ale Smith Nut Brown.
Nut Brown.
Nut Brown.
Kick back and relax with a Nut Brown by Ale Smith.
Who wouldn't? I mean, at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
They got
endorsement.
they've got like.
Although I didn't like that one last time.
that one actually made me like cringe for a second. So
I
good
know,
luck.
so it's not going to be good.
Like-
I'm going to take a smell test. Oh my god.
Oh, this is so much better than that one.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
you're
was
gonna
like
hate
having a
your-
hard time with that in the post
I don't
podcast.
even think you finished it, did you?
No, it was gross. Oh yeah, we do a post podcast, which is a podcast after the podcast. We do it on Patreon. So if you're like, oh my god, I always watch these guys' episodes, and the one episode a week isn't enough, then follow us over to Patreon and donate as little as $1 and gain access to the post podcast, of which there are numerous of.
Yeah, and I've done some research on a lot of the patron users and stuff for other things like YouTube and stuff. A lot of them won't let you have full access to everything for like the minimum donation.
And I think that's dumb.
It is like anything helps us with our RSS feed as
You are a
well as
valued
pizza and
member
beer.
of the community.
I mean, if it's $1 or more, it's you get everything.
You get access. You get everything.
I mean, we're
Exactly.
giving you the episodes, the actual full episodes for free.
Right.
So like, and we don't run advertisements or anything.
No, that's true. Well, we ran a public service announcement today, but that's different. We
Well.
didn't get paid for that. That was unpaid.
Yep. I mean, that's all it was.
Yeah, we did it for the connections, and because
Someone asked us to.
You just got to go check it out, because that's the whole point. Anyhow, go ahead.
Oh yeah, let
Take
me
a sip of the
take
beer.
a sip.
I was waiting for the foam to go down on mine, and it's just not.
Oh, this is much better than that one. Good luck, sir. This one's actually not. I actually don't mind the nut brown.
Oh my God. Dude. There is so much foam. It's just a mile of foam. Oh my God. Why do people drink that? I almost feel like we shouldn't give the names of these beers because I just like cannot in good faith tell someone to go and drink this, but I know people like them.
I actually like the nut brown.
See, like, I get it a little bit. This one, this Imperial Stout by Yeti that I'm drinking, it's got like a little bit of a bite at the end that is reminiscent of if I do like a really strong shot of espresso. And I like that. But like,
wow, really? The nut brown reminds me of an
this is
espresso
like
kind of
a
thing.
whole mug. An iced mug, by the way.
Oh, God.
And I just can't. I can't do it.
He's
But
going to do it, though.
I'm going to sip on it, though.
I'm going to finish mine. I'm
All right.
down for this.
Anyhow, you brought up a topic right before the public service announcement.
Oh, yeah. Tacit donations.
Why don't you
as
tell
well
us
as-
about those?
Okay, so basically tacit donations falls under the same premise of opt-out programs. There's several countries that do it. One would say it's China does it too.
Oh.
It's basically,
Oh.
but a little bit more forcefully and more, I don't know.
What is it?
Opt-out programs, if you aren't aware, are programs that make it automatically that citizens are organ donors. You have to actually go in and officially remove yourself from an organ donor list, basically, so that when you die, your organs aren't immediately harvested.
It's like when you reinstall Windows 10 and they're automatically sending location data to the government unless you opt out of it.
Exactly.
But they take your organs instead.
But they take your organs instead.
Microsoft.
There's several countries. I'll just name one off the top of my head. Is Australia does it. What's funny is it doesn't increase their like donations. Like Australia is not even on the list of top donors.
I bet like if it was something that the government automatically signed me up for, I might want to sign out of it just like because the government
because the
automatically
government
signed
made
me
you
up
do
for it.
it.
I'd be like, no.
No.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Like I said, I don't have anything against people donating their organs to save another person's life. That's fine. But,
Sure.
you know, I don't want to be that guy in a coma and then, like, no one gave me a chance to
I
wake
think
up.
that happens like rarely.
I know. But that's the... I don't have irrational fears. That is probably one of the few that I do have.
You don't have them, but that is one of them.
Yeah, I have 7, actually.
We're not going to go over that. We don't need to get into that, but
Not too many irrational fears.
anyhow, go on.
The others are lightning and shark.
Okay,
So...
go on.
So
Off subject.
what this program does, and there's actually been a pretty strong movement for it in recent years from Stanford University. I think it's called the SPARQ program, SPARQ.
Oh,
And it's to urge the U.S. to change its policies to where it's an opt-out program, where you have to actually officially, before death, like opt out of organ donations. You're automatically by default an organ donor, and then in rare cases your family can opt you out after death. So,
interesting.
but
You think that's wrong?
I don't think it's wrong. I think it's a change in policy that takes away a little bit of choice. I mean, you still have the choice to opt out of it, but if they somehow slide this into a policy or a law, and they're not, I mean, look at how many things in the news are portrayed for like a week or two, and then people just forget about it.
Right.
Or, you know, things are talked about.
But that, like you said, they're presuming that they're okay
It's not even
with
just
it.
a presumption because there's religious ties to it as well. We won't really get into those, but you know, there's a lot that like the desecration of your corpse afterwards can affect you in your afterlife.
Truth.
There's religions based on that, and I just think
But
that
like you, no,
it's
go ahead.
pushing that boundary of the government has rights to you as a person, or maybe for that matter as a body. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what these policies do, is they basically say the government owns your body after death.
Just to play both sides of it. You said that like 58% of people are signed up as organ donors.
Mm-hmm.
And so then presumably like the majority of people would want to be signed up anyhow.
Yeah, well, those are the people that have actually said, yes, I want to be an organ donor. And then, yeah, statistically, they say that 95% of people are in favor of organ donation. But that doesn't mean
They're
they want to be
in favor of it, but they don't want to be a part of it.
Exactly.
But like 58% of people are signed up for it. They like went out of their way to sign up for it.
Statistically,
then like statistically, the majority of people would be chill with it.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, there's a lot of things. I think a policy like that brings a dangerous precedent in a way of, well, by default, we own you after death.
Yeah.
What else could they push the envelope with the whole idea of the better good?
Yeah. Well, okay, for me, and obviously this isn't the same thing, but my take on it, it's like when you sign up for something like Facebook or you're installing a new operating system or something like that, it automatically opts you in to send location data and do these various things that could potentially slow your computer down or that potentially you wouldn't be okay with. But if you skip through stuff like most people do, where you don't do advanced setup or whatever, then you are automatically opted into these things that are not necessarily in your best interest.
They're not in your best interest, and it's a pain to get out of it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like I said, we've already had legal issues with companies taking too much information.
Right.
And overstepping the bounds that they are supposed to by law. Right. Selling that information, gathering information that was never
we talk about that
publicly disclosed.
Every episode, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is that's just with like your personal data on a computer. Now imagine with your organs in your life. Like
sure.
Like on
it's post-death, though.
Assuming.
Right.
That's why I'm saying the boundary could be broken with people who are in a coma, who have a small % chance of recovering from that coma.
So you're saying if they're automatically opted into it and there's not a third party there to deny them the right to do it, and then they could assume they've been in a coma and start pushing the envelope.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
That's where that kind of stuff leads. In my opinion, is whenever you give someone an inch by saying across the board we're treating everyone the same.
Yeah.
Which is silly because not everybody's the same.
Right.
Not same religion, not same body, not same anything. But if you treat the populace as one giant whole of a meat factory, basically, and say, we get your organs after your death unless you specifically tell us no.
So Australia does that.
Yeah, oddly enough. But again, they're not even on the high...
And it's something worth thinking about potentially doing.
Yeah, well, there's been universities and programs that have pushed for these policy changes to help with the transplant list. It's one of the solutions that's been talked about in the whole 2, 5, 10 years down the road.
No, oddly, I'm not super against it, and it seems like the kind of thing I would normally be against. I don't know why, but like, it doesn't seem like a huge deal to me, but I can see where you said pushing the envelope where they start, oh, well, this person's been in a coma for a couple of days and there's no one here to tell us not to take his organs.
Yeah.
So let's take his organs.
Coma is just one thing that could have happened.
And I believe that there is corruption in everything. So I could see there being cases like that.
And I'm not saying that a doctor specifically would be looking at a sick person saying, well, if they just weren't around anymore, we'd be able to save 10 more people. But that is an ethical dilemma people have to fight with all the time.
Right.
So.
Sipping this beer.
He's sipping the beer.
And it's hard.
But that's just my opinion. Like I said, it's not so much that I'm against organ donor. I'm 100% for saving someone's life if, that body is no longer being used kind of scenario. What I'm afraid of is when it's blanket policy, where does the line start getting pushed too much to where we have to say no, and then it's a fight uphill to like push back to the line.
Yeah.
Just like Facebook, just like all these other things we're dealing with in the internet, social media, news.
You've seen it. You download like any even kind of third-party program. When you install it, it'll like install toolbars and new programs and stuff, unless you tell it not to.
Yeah, and
it like does it by itself.
Even when you set up Windows 10, when you first, they have that page of like location data.
Yeah, exactly.
tech support
and it's all on
this.
unless you turn it off.
Automatically on unless you opt out of it. And even opting
Because it's
out
in
of
their
it,
best interest.
yeah. And, nothing goes wrong with what's in your best interest or the good of the people.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
exactly. Because
There's never been anything in
most
history.
people, if they knew what it meant, they might not opt into having their location shared with Microsoft all the time. And then it's shared with Google all the time. And then it's shared with Facebook all the time.
I opted out of it on my phone, and it's still every once in a while Google will be like, do you want to review this place you were at? I'm like, how'd you know I was there?
How'd you know?
How'd you know I was there?
Exactly.
Google, how'd you know I was at PetSmart?
I know,
All
because
right?
like it asks you if you want to, and you can tell it no, but then like as you're connecting to various wireless networks, it just like it tells them where you're at. It does the same thing for me. Even just if I go through a drive-through, when I get home, it'll ask me how I like that specific drive-through.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Now imagine your family's dealing with that while your organs are being taken out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Honestly, though,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
They're like, well, we need all of his skin.
Yeah. So okay, I got you. Now you're in a situation, maybe
Can't have an open casket.
something tragic and sudden happened, and you're on your deathbed, and maybe like they don't want you to take your son's organs or whatever, but he didn't, opt out of it.
So that's a great example. Or China, prisoner. Your
Prisoner.
body belongs to us.
Yeah.
So like,
And so we can take
and
it.
you're automatically an organ donor. Let's just make you have an accident in the prison, and now we have this organ for this guy who paid the prison a lot of money because
Yeah.
our prisons are private prisons for profit.
Right.
So-
See, and they don't even go to the extent of like making up a story like that about it.
But that's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
that in the U.S., that would be the story.
That would be, because that's true. We've discussed that numerous times, how China, whereas they're obviously having their own problems and we're having our own problems, difference is when they're having a problem, they're just like, it's open.
What you gonna do about
People
it?
know about it in China, but they keep people from knowing about it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's like, it is a secret from everybody.
Yeah.
It seems like.
But I mean, that's one of the other envelopes I was talking about. If China's harvesting from live prisoners, and you have a for-profit prison who essentially owns your organs,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
So that's the conspiracy for me, is the policies to blanket default organ donor everybody in the United States.
Right. Well, I hate it when the government opts me into something.
I just don't like not having a choice.
Yeah.
Or at least being told this is my choice until I tell you it's not.
There's a difference between, having the choice, but then they made the choice for you.
Yeah.
Without your input.
And I have to speak
without
up
your
to say
direct
no.
input.
It's kind of like a cop searching your car. Unless you say you don't have access, I'm not giving you permission to search my vehicle. Like, they can still go through your vehicle unless
until you tell them not to.
you tell them not to.
Exactly.
And then they just get a dog to false hit on you anyway. So
That's true. That's a story for another day.
yeah,
Honestly, I didn't have a whole lot more to talk about. We kind of covered it.
Yes.
Unless you have other points you would like to make.
No, that was my point.
All right. So, yeah. China's harvesting organs, people. That's what we're dealing with as a world today. We keep saying we don't like to get political, and I don't like getting political, but we like to talk about these things that are in the news currently and just the various things that surround them because they're current. And
And it applies to everyone.
in this case, like we said, it's not really a conspiracy, but it is portrayed multiple places in the media as a conspiracy.
yeah, like it's not true. It's yet to be proven.
And that's why we're talking about it, because you could talk all day about conspiracy theories from the past or ancient conspiracies, and we do. But it is good to touch on current subjects because you can get so focused on what happened to them that you're not paying attention to what's happening right now.
and
It's
right now is
kind of
important.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I said we were doing it to milk the spooky hashtags and the Halloween hashtags. It almost feels wrong after talking about it. But I'm sure after a well night's sleep, I will forgive myself, and I will hashtag them spooky and Halloween.
I'm just going to finish this beer and accept it.
Everybody else does. Thanks for listening, everybody. We thank you as the listeners. We thank our patrons because they support us monetarily and they pay for our RSS hosting fee and our beer and our pizza. Yeah.
You can find us anywhere.
You can find us literally anywhere. We've had a lot of people ask us recently where you can find us. And I tell them, like, just about literally anywhere.
Literally,
if you Google
Google.com.
N as in Nancy, C2 Conspiracy Podcast, just Google it.
Did you use Nancy?
Yeah, I did. Maybe people think we're MC. We're not. We're N as in Nancy.
Nevada, Charlie.
You know
Square.
what? I hear the Nancy all the time, so I don't care. And you know what?
I know. I'm just giving you
You don't have to.
the what for.
Yeah, okay. Well, then you do the outro. Tell them where they can find us.
You can find us on Patreon, Facebook, any podcasting.
You got to be more specific. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, the Himalaya Podcast app,
That one was
Listen
fun.
Notes, Castbox. Oh God,
iHeartRadio.
what's that one? iHeartRadio. What's that one? I just put us on like 4 more.
Pandora. Are we
I
on
haven't
there
heard
yet?
back yet.
Ah.
Hopefully Pandora. We're
Stitcher.
constantly. I'm shocked at how many places there are that accept our.
If you Google
Podcast Connect.
NC2 Conspiracy Podcast, like, we're the first 2 pages.
It's true, and it's all links. We're on YouTube.
Yeah.
You might have said that.
Yeah.
Don't listen to us on YouTube.
Please
wouldn't.
don't.
Nobody else
Please
does.
don't.
Why would you? You can find us on Twitter and Facebook if you want to contact us, or you can find us on Patreon if you want to contact us. You don't have to donate. You can still get on and send us a message. You could send us an email, nc2conspiracy@gmail.com. Email us a question, a comment, a concern, or if you would like to be on the show or know someone who would like to be on the show, shoot us a message. We have the capabilities. We have the power.
We've got a few things lined up we're trying to get
We do
rid
have a
of.
few things lined up. They're in the bag.
It's in the back.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the back burner, but exciting stuff. So
It is.
thank you for listening, everybody. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Spooky sounds. Spooky sounds.
Goodbye.